Imagine if the world were divided into 5 nations, each representing a continent. What would the global power dynamics look like? This hypothetical scenario, though fictional, reveals a fascinating lens through which to examine the intricate web of population, economics, culture, and military might that defines our planet. By reimagining continents as sovereign states, we uncover stark contrasts and hidden truths about how these regions shape and are shaped by the world. From the staggering population densities of Asia to the economic dominance of the United States, each nation would wield influence far beyond its geographic boundaries. But what if we didn't just look at numbers? What if we considered the cultural tapestry, the historical legacies, and the geopolitical tensions that would arise? This is the story of a world reshaped by continents, where the lines between geography and power blur, and where every statistic tells a story of human ambition, resilience, and division. Chapter 1: The Foundations of a New World Order. If continents were nations, their first defining trait would be population. Asia, home to over 4.6 billion people, would be the most populous, dwarfing the next largest, Africa, which would have around 1.4 billion. This demographic imbalance would immediately set the stage for a global hierarchy. The United States, as the most populous nation in the Americas, would hold a unique position, but its economic clout would be even more pronounced. The U.S. contributes roughly 25% of the global GDP, a figure that would be amplified if it were a standalone continent. Meanwhile, China, with its 1.4 billion people, would be the second largest economy, its economic influence rivaling that of the U.S. in a world where continents are sovereign. But population alone doesn't define power. Economic metrics like GDP per capita and military spending would shape the new order. Europe, with its 500 million people, would be a powerhouse of innovation and industry, its GDP per capita among the highest globally. However, its economic strength would be tempered by the stark disparities within its own borders. Meanwhile, Africa, despite its vast population, would face challenges in economic development, with many nations struggling to break free from cycles of poverty and debt. Cultural and linguistic diversity would also play a role. Africa, with over 2,000 languages, would be a mosaic of traditions and identities, while Asia's linguistic complexity, from Mandarin to Arabic, would reflect its historical crossroads of trade and migration. Yet, these diversities could also become sources of tension, as the new nations grappled with questions of unity and representation. Chapter 2: The Economics of Power and the Military Divide. The economic landscape of this hypothetical world would be dominated by a few key players. Asia, with its combined GDP of over $25 trillion, would be the economic giant, its wealth driven by China, India, and Southeast Asia. The United States, as a standalone continent, would hold the second largest economy, its dominance fueled by technological innovation and a robust financial sector. Europe, with its 20 major economies, would be a hub of industrial and intellectual capital, though its economic power would be fragmented by the varying levels of development across its nations. Military spending would further define the new order. Asia, with its 10.5 million active soldiers, would surpass even the most powerful nations in the real world. The United States, contributing 88% of its continent's military budget, would be the sole superpower, its military might unmatched. Europe, while united in its defense strategies, would face internal divisions, with France and Germany as the primary contributors. Africa, despite its population, would lag far behind, its military spending a fraction of that of its counterparts. Yet, the numbers tell a deeper story. While Asia's military personnel would outnumber entire nations, its economic strength would be a double-edged sword. The region's diversity of interests, between China's authoritarian model, India's democratic aspirations, and the Middle East's geopolitical tensions, would complicate any unified strategy. Meanwhile, the United States' military dominance would come at a cost, its global interventions often sparking debates about the ethics of power. Chapter 3: the ripple effects of a new world order. The implications of this hypothetical division would extend far beyond economics and military might. Culturally, the new nations would face challenges in preserving their identities while navigating global integration. Africa's rich oral traditions and artistic heritage would be at risk of being overshadowed by the dominant narratives of Asia and Europe. Meanwhile, Asia's cultural homogeneity, shaped by centuries of Confucian values and imperial legacies, would clash with the more fragmented identities of the Americas and Europe. Politically, the new order would be fraught with tension. The United States, as a continent, would likely dominate global institutions, its influence shaping everything from trade agreements to climate policies. However, its unilateralism could provoke resistance from other nations, particularly in Asia, where China's rise as a global leader would challenge U.S. hegemony. Europe, meanwhile, would struggle to balance its internal divisions with the need for collective action on issues like migration and climate change. The environmental impact would also be profound. Asia's industrialization, while a driver of economic growth, would exacerbate pollution and resource depletion, while Africa's reliance on natural resources could lead to conflicts over land and water. The Americas, with their vast natural reserves, would face the challenge of balancing development with conservation. Conclusion: a world reimagined. This hypothetical world, where continents are sovereign nations, reveals the complex interplay of power, culture, and economics that shapes our reality. It underscores the disparities that exist within and between regions, as well as the potential for both conflict and collaboration. While the numbers may seem stark, they reflect the realities of a world where geography, history, and human ambition converge. As we navigate the challenges of the 21st century, understanding these dynamics is crucial. Whether through global cooperation or competition, the future of our planet will depend on how we choose to engage with the forces that define it. So, what do you think? Would this world be a utopia, a dystopia, or something in between? Share your thoughts and continue exploring the intricate tapestry of our shared future.